Welcome back to Press Box. I'm Jay Stoyan. On the show today, we have Doug Smith. And actually, we're going to be making a big announcement later in the show. And because we're down here in our studio in Toronto, it's live on Facebook. We're going to be asking Doug via our class and our producer, Jay, a couple questions regarding Doug Smith and his career and his injury and maybe how he can pass on some advice to other people, through our class or just people going through a tough time. So, Doug, let's take two scenarios. So let's pretend, I was a professional hockey player and I've had a career or almost career-ending injury and I'm going out of my mind. And someone said to me, you know what? You need to reach out, or we'll get a gentleman named Doug Smith to reach out to you. And I think it's going to do you better. So right now I'm calling you and I'm seeing my career flashing before my eyes. And I'm 28 years old and I have a family and I have two young kids. Doug, I need your help. What do I do?
That's a really, really good question. I've worked with 15-year-olds who had a spinal cord injury, right? Who I get brought into a room and, with them and take them through the process. But whether you've had a spinal cord injury and you're 15 or whether you're the CEO of a company, the model is still the same. You have a brain and the brain works in a certain way. So understanding how that process works and understanding how the process from the core of our body outward works. For example, our spinal column beats at 11 beats a minute. It's the core rhythm of the body. It feeds heart rate and breathing. But all we pay attention to in the healing process and performance process is breathing and heart rate. Did anybody tell you, check and see how your spinal cord is beating today? No, nobody. Why wouldn't you look at that space? And so I dive deep into that space, and I always start the healing process or the getting better process from that place.
And I guess because you've actually been through it, that you can walk the
I've
walk,
got a
right?
good
You can walk
experience.
the walk. Yeah.
I've got the physical and emotional experience, but here's the key: you don't need to have the physical experience to have the emotional experience.
But I would say it helps, like when you're telling your story.
Well, when I'm telling my story,
Yeah.
people relate to the physical and what they
Yeah.
can see.
Yeah.
Of course, and that's the basis of my work, is that there's only one awareness and that the subconscious brain controls you.
Okay, so let's flip it over to a veteran now, because I'm finding this, because obviously our programs, we focus on helping veterans as much as we can. And what we're finding out is veterans are so gung-ho, they'll go through the wall. They're the first ones there, the last ones to leave. They're always there to support people. And they always want to join in. But what I'm finding now is with the veterans, they love to take our course. They want to help their fellow man and woman, person with disability or without, they're full on. But then they kind of have to step back because it's just a little bit too much for them. It's overwhelming, you could say, at the moment. Mm-hmm. So how do we get past that, Doug? Because I would never want to lose a veteran via our program because they've had to step back and take time off.
Well, you really have to start at the core for the individual, right? And then at Veterans House, where I chair the not-for-profit board and help people go through this process. There's a very simple process. And if they're not following the process or getting their structure in place, then leadership, then strategy, then you put people into the system. Don't put people into a toxic system. And so we teach the basic principles of how to build things so that you don't build a wobbly building that just needs a little bit of a nudge to knock it over. We teach you how to build it solid so that if you take some time off, you come back, it's grown a little tiny bit, or it's just a little more stable. It's an illusion that you have to do it all today, Jay. It really is.
Such valuable information. I really thank you for sharing that, Doug. Like I said, I'm going to be connecting you with a lot of people on our platform. This is great. This is great. What I want to do, I think we're going to take another break because I know I want to bring in our producer because he's got a few questions for you, and then we're going to lighten it up a bit and talk some hockey, some nice stories. So stay tuned. You're watching Press Box. When we come back, our producer is going to be on the line. He's going to be asking a couple of questions about Doug, for Doug, through our class. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.